Hi,
Hey,
Lacey. How,
hi.
hi. So nice of you to be joining us here today. I'm so honored to have you on. So,
Oh, thank you for having me.
the connection, I didn't
Oh,
hear.
yeah. I said thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, seriously, for taking your time for speaking with us and myself today. So, let's begin, all right?
Yes, let's do it.
So, this is going to be my little introduction. So, welcome everyone to Kind Time. Today, we go live with Macy Ann St. Louis.
Hi.
So, I've interviewed you in the past about embracing who you are. And today, we speak about what the world is and should be speaking about, the Black Lives Matter movement. So, Macy, seriously, thank you so much for being here. And thank you for truly being a leader of our youth and in this movement, and for being a voice that I am listening to and I am learning from. And I hope that others are doing the same.
Thank you, Pamela. It's my pleasure. I've always had a heart for humanity, first of all, but it would be a neglective action of my part to not speak and be an activist for who I am as a human, which is a Black person on this earth. So it's been my duty, quite honestly, to do so. So I'm happy that you're inspired, and I'm happy that you've invited me on your platform to share as well.
Thank you. Seriously, we love you and we appreciate you. And I just wanted to do this before we start our interview. I wanted to just take a moment of silence for George Floyd and for all the other victims who have been affected by this. So,
Yes, and may I just add, it's important to also in your moment of silence reflect about the action of what it is to be silent. Think about your Black brothers and sisters who go out on the daily and are silenced by the suffering and the injustices that keep happening to us. So let's also keep that in mind while we honor George Floyd's life as well.
thank you so much. Let's So, Macy, I know that yesterday was an interesting day on my end because as I was learning and educating myself, I truly, really did take that time yesterday. And I saw that after posting my Black image on my Instagram story, I saw that there was also people who were exactly what you said about our time of silence right now, that we should not be just silenced. And I so appreciate that you mentioned that. Thank you so much. And so my question now that we start our interview is about that. And let's begin with this. So what is your input and reaction when I tell you that the hashtag Blackout Tuesday has more posts on Instagram than the hashtag Black Lives Matter?
It just speaks to the volume and the impact and the influence that media has. The kind of challenging thing with the era that we're in, being that social media is something that's so prevalent and so powerful, especially in our generation, is the fact that media also has a way of portraying and translating semantics. Semantics being you take one word and there's three different meanings for it.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened with this this initiative, the Blackout Tuesday, it was initiated by a woman in the music industry that served to silence the streaming of music. So this is how it started. It was called a pause, and then other people started to join in on the movement and kind of created another motive to what it actually was. And then since has to do with Blackout Tuesday, people started hashtagging Black Lives Matter, which kind of started to be a counterintuitive action. And we started to lose the information of the Black Lives Matter movement, which was deeply and for days we had been having an outpour of information, and then just like that, the algorithm switches up on us. So it just preaches to the power that we have with our phones, and how it's really easy to promote messages that are confusing and or counterintuitive to the work that we're trying to get done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I so agree with you, and when I saw that, I was like, oh my, I didn't mean to just black it out and be silenced, and that's the whole, like, it's not what we want and what we meant. And so I truly did educate myself. Like, I can't stop saying that because it's so true. Though we are not against anyone, and at this moment Black lives, it's just, wow, like there's so much that I didn't know and I thought I did know. And so I really encourage everyone to really read and listen and watch and do interviews and truly do that. And so that leads us to my next question.
Yeah.
So how do we call out on the accounts or people that are not actively discussing, educating, or participating in this movement?
Yes. So in the past days, I've seen a lot of my peers, Black peers, express it honestly does hurt. I must admit, when you feel that there are people, or for myself, brands that I've worked with that would speak out on the issue because you've worked with them and they would feel inclined to talk about it, and they don't, it does hurt. So one, understand that, especially that we're in quarantine, the fact that our immediate access to knowing whether or not we have support is only our phones, since we can't be out in the open, out in society, having these discussions like in cafes and at events. We are turning to our phones to really understand who is with us and who isn't. So when you're silent, what happens is we start to make assumptions, right? And it's fair to say that some people's intentions might not be that they aren't in agreement with what is going on, but something as little as checking up on your Black friends, something as little as saying that you've read this book, saying that sharing resources about the matter could be a way of showing your alliance to the cause. And another thing is, I've been thinking about the concept of peer pressure in these times, and I'm kind of starting to exert this a bit, because in peer pressuring someone to do something, they can then look within themselves and ask themselves, why did it take Macy to peer pressure me into doing this? And there starts the dialogue and the introspection that needs to be done. So I try to promote a nice and healthy way and sustainable way of calling out people, but it must be done, because it's all up in our faces. Like, the hashtag has been here for, it makes a week now since the incident. So if you haven't gone in with the times, then introspection needs to start within yourself. And I understand that it's a difficult subject or a difficult thing to start to accept, because it's kind of just been like an elephant in the room where you know it's there and you're avoiding it. But it's a divine time. The resources are there. People's ears are lenient to listening. Your peers, other allies are being in unison and giving other allies information about questions that they can ask themselves, books, movies, audiobooks. The information is there. And that's where the work starts, honestly. Knowledge is power. Yeah.
100%. Knowledge is truly power, and using our voices and our platforms. And I saw this thing. I mean, there's been so many posts and so many beautiful, empowering messages that I have come across over the last few days, where they've been so eye-opening, where they really, you know, Oprah had said you have aha moments, and I
Yeah.
had many aha moments this week.
Mm.
And it really truly made me reflect on just how people speak and how we react and how we treat one another, right? And there
Right.
was one message that really made me say, oh, right? And it was where, you know, they said something about how no matter how many followers you have, even if it's just one, just the fact that you are raising awareness and putting emphasis on this movement, you have a platform. And
Right.
somebody, even if it's one person, is listening. And
Right.
so that just really went, wow, yeah,
Yeah.
it's true. You know, like I may not have millions of followers, but people do listen. And even if they don't say it, they are. And so
Yes.
that's really important for people to be using this platform called social media.
And I think it's even more important to realize whether you be someone that actually only has one follower and you are to post and you are to inform this one follower about everything that is going on, and they still decide to not listen. At the end of the day, you did it for you, because it starts with you. And that's why I always preach about intentions being right when we are promoting and trying and advocating for Black Lives Matter. Are you really doing it just to be a part of the conversation? Are you the one actively listening and speaking about it as well? Because it's too easy to repost, and it's even easier to repost without actually reading what you reposted, because I'm sure there's a lot of people doing that as well. So it's not, at the end of the day, yes, we want people to listen, but are you listening to even what you're putting out there? And if you see that there's work that needs to be done within yourself, then by all means, take the time to do it. So then you can go ahead and then translate the information, and it will come from a genuine and kind place because you've done the work for yourself.
Yeah. Honestly, this, like, what you just said, it just, I want to cry, because it's so true, where you just see people and you think, well, I mean, maybe they have educated themselves and they have changed their intentions, but you see some people where they're just following where they think it's a trend. And that just breaks my heart, because this is not a trend. This
It's
is
not a trend.
that is real. Though I have not personally experienced it, because I am not a Black woman, I just cannot believe that people can take this as a trend. And so I really thank you for being a voice and somebody that we can educate ourselves from. So now we have another question. My next question is, so there's another demonstration planned here in Montreal that is going to take place Sunday, June 7th. Yes. What do you want to say to those who will be and should be attending?
Yeah, so it's a manifestation. I've been reflecting on the word manifestation. And I think in these times, it would be key for people to maybe go back and actually go read up on definition of words. Because I feel like we become a generation where we're really actionable, but we also need to fill our minds. So we are manifesting. I take the manifesting towards a future where systemic racism, where police brutality is no longer an issue. And so this is the premise of what we are manifesting for. So when we're going out there, we're keeping that in mind. We're being respectful that this movement in this moment is predominantly for Black folks. There are people grieving. There are people angry. There are people sad. There are people, even as they're manifesting, walking out in the streets, they still feel like a target. Like going out into these manifestations and seeing the cops right on the side. Let me tell you, I don't feel comfortable. And that is the truth of it. So keeping in mind that if you're an ally and you're next to me, read the room, be like, okay, I want to ask questions. If you can ask a question if obviously you don't want to impose and you don't want to dig too deep. These are sensitive topics, but just try to be introspective. Go into the manifestation with already a list of things that you want to observe. Being respectful of the space intentions being right. If you know that you're someone, I mean, I really doubt that you have people on your platform that would be cause of looting of any sort. But if you know that you're someone who would be acting out of violence when the manifestation in the first place is not what it's intended to be, then you might as well just stay home and reflect about that as well. And so yeah, that's what people can do when they're coming out into these manifestations, and to realize that every day when you step out as a Black person, I speak for myself, I always speak for myself, every day when I step out as a Black woman, it is a form of activism. I am an advocate for my life and being an activist for my life every single day, just because of the color of my skin, because we are in a province, in a system that does not include the same rights as others. This is the truth. I know that the premiers has denied that there's systemic racism here in our province, but that is false. It is false, whether it be for facts or not. It is false just by the voices within your province telling you that that isn't the case. There are studies that's been said that it is more likely, 4 to 5 times more likely for a Black or Indigenous person to get stopped by the police and to be to undergo police brutality by the police. So it is prevalent, and to ignore it means that you're a part of it. So everyone needs to check themselves.
Yeah. Well, Macy, you truly are a voice that I want everybody to listen to. You're amazing. So now we have our last question, actually. Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.
Macy, I know I've asked you this before in our other interview. You know what's coming.
Are we on kind time or what?
we had fun.
We did have fun. We were dancing. You all need to check out our other interview. It's funny. We're like dancing. We're super cute.
I love you. But Macy, this question is just a little different right now. So what does kindness mean to you at this moment?
Mm-hmm. Kindness for me is acknowledging wholeheartedly that I am a Black woman, and wholeheartedly acknowledging that there is a system working out there to oppress my person, and being truthful in posing the actions necessary so that my genuine heart and the love that I have for people can be exemplified in a genuine and prosperous way. But because of the system, we cannot. So being kind is really being in tune with what I'm feeling. It's easy to suppress the feelings and say, it's going to go away, it's going to go away. But then still walking out every day and not being kind enough to myself to say the truth of what is going on. So being kind is speaking the truth and getting justice once and for all.
Macy, I adore you. And for kindness for me, last time you asked me, I didn't.
Oh yeah.
Remember that?
I do a thing where I ask the host the question. It's probably not correct, but
oh, I loved it. I will truly remember that forever.
I was like, what does kindness mean to you, Pamela?
And now I will answer you that for today. Today, kindness to me means for myself is to continue educating myself, to continue listening, and to truly act on that, and not just be to be a part of a movement, to be a part of the movement, and not be a part of a trend. It's not a trend. It's not a trend.
It isn't a trend. And you know what? And there's something really, I always find new revelations about Black movements. I think that this Black movement is allowing allies and people who are non-Black to actually have a chance to be kind towards themselves and dismantle truths and preconceived notions of maybe internalized racism that's been prevalent in their person for a long time. It's okay. You've been taught that racism, and we see your want for change. We see your want for knowledge, and that is being kind towards yourselves too. And we appreciate it. And in the long run, we'll get to win the race together. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah, I am so with you, and I love you. Thank
I
you
love you too.
for joining us today, and I will see you soon. I look forward for this quarantine to be over so I could just give you a big actual hug, not just virtually.
We've never actually met in person. It's so
I feel like I've known you forever. I adore you. I give you big kisses, and big kisses to everyone who's watching. And please, let's continue to educate ourselves, to listen, and to be an ally. Love you, Macy.
Love you too. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.